This is the Schlage Encode Plus, a HomeKit compatible smart lock that came out a while back and has been sold out and still is everywhere you look. Well, after waiting over 6 months and about $350 later, which is more than what Schlage actually sells them for, I finally got my hands on this smart lock. But what's all the hype behind this smart lock, and is it worth waiting for it to come back in stock? I would say yes. Well, kinda. So in this video, I'll show you what this lock can and cannot do in HomeKit, how the new HomeKit feature works, some weird issues I've experienced during day-to-day use that you should be aware of, and to see if this lock is worth waiting for to come back in stock. In the box, you get the lock, which goes on the outside of your door, the touchscreen assembly that goes on the inside of your door, the manual and instruction booklet with backup HomeKit codes, 4 AA batteries, and all the screws and necessary parts to install this lock. This lock also has a keyhole if you like using a physical key as a backup, and includes 1 key that you can make duplicates of or even change your lock. Now, installing this smart lock is very easy, takes about 10 minutes, and works about the same way as installing any other smart lock. You'll have to remove an existing smart lock if you already have one, and it's just a matter of screwing in both sides of the lock and connecting a cable for this lock to work. And I did not have any issues installing the smart lock. Now from here, you can choose to set up this lock with HomeKit directly and not use the manufacturer's app, which in this case is the Schlage app, and that will still give you the majority of features like HomeKey and the ability to create and manage access codes. But I always recommend installing the manufacturer's app to get all the features that this lock has, adjust any settings that you may need, and access to important software updates. So I'm going to set this lock up in the Schlage app, then show you how to get it into HomeKit. The setup process in the Schlage app is pretty simple. Just scan the QR code on the back of the lock, connect it to your Wi-Fi, give the lock a name, and create an access code. Then the lock will go through an auto configuration process to configure the lock to your door. And now you can control the lock from the Schlage app, and the Schlage app gives you features that you do not get in the Apple Home app. In the Schlage app, you can lock or unlock the door just by tapping on the lock icon. There are a bunch of settings that you can adjust, like a built-in alarm that'll play a sound if it detects a forced entry, and you can adjust the sensitivity as well. Have the door auto lock after a certain amount of time, one touch locking, and turn on and off the keypad sound. Now, one feature I really like about the Schlage app is that it shows you a history of the lock being unlocked or locked. And not only that, but also how exactly the lock was locked or unlocked, either by the thumb turn, the mobile app, or using Apple HomeKey, which we'll get into next. How long the door was unlocked for, and when an access code was created. You can also view and manage access codes in the Schlage app. Up to 100 codes can be created, and you can create scheduled timed access for these codes and set it to always recurring. So let's say you have a babysitter or somebody that comes by, say 4 days a week, and you only want to give them access between certain times on certain days. Well, you can set that up here. You can even add up to 2 different schedules. If this code is used outside of these times, then the door will not unlock. Or there's also temporary, which is any time between a specific date and time that does not repeat. The Schlage Encode Plus smart lock connects over Thread, which is great to see in a smart lock. If you're not familiar with what Thread is a newer smart home standard that's more reliable and faster to respond than over Wi-Fi. Now, in order to use Thread, you will need a Thread border router, which can be a HomePod Mini or Apple TV 2nd Gen or later. Thread devices create their own mesh network, which is separate from your main Wi-Fi network and does not require an extra bridge. This allows for very fast response times, longer battery life on devices that requires batteries, like the Schlage Smart Lock, and longer range. If you don't have a HomePod Mini or Apple TV 4K, then you can still use this smart lock. It will just connect over Bluetooth instead of Thread. And Bluetooth is much slower to respond and has a much smaller range than using Thread. So I would highly recommend having a HomePod Mini or an Apple TV to really take advantage of the speed and the reliability of this smart lock. The Schlage Encode Plus smart lock works with all 3 smart home assistants: Amazon, Google, and Siri. And each smart home platform will give you different features. But being this is a HomeKit focused channel, we'll just be looking at what it can do in HomeKit, which is Apple's smart home platform. To get this lock into the Apple Home app, you can just scan the HomeKit pairing QR code from within the Apple Home app, or you can use the Schlage app to get it into the Apple Home app. I'm using the Schlage app, and all you really have to do is scan the HomeKit code, or if your phone has NFC, then you can just place your phone against the lock, and then it will prompt to set this lock up. Next, choose the room room that the lock is in, give the lock a name. I'll just keep the default front door. Then it shows a message about HomeKey, which is the biggest feature about this lock, and we'll come back to this here in a minute. Next, you'll be prompted to set up your initial access code, which you can change later on, and now this lock is in the Apple Home app. Now, in the Apple Home app, there are some great attributes that are exposed. There's a lock attribute, and you can lock or unlock the door by tapping on the lock icon or by tapping on the tile and then sliding up or down to lock or unlock the door, and the lock is very quick to respond thanks to Thread. Next is the battery life percentage. Next, you'll see a section called Manage Access, which is where you can create and manage access codes. There's a section for residents, so anybody that you currently share your HomeKit home with will already have access to the lock in the Apple Home app. Then there's a section for guests, which is people that you want to have the ability to unlock your door, but not be able to control any other devices in your smart home. So you might use this for, say, a babysitter or a nanny. The owner of the HomeKit home and admins are able to change anybody's access at any time from within the Apple Home app, and the lock updates right away. Codes can also be created remotely. So if you need to add a code on the go to let somebody in, then you can do that from the Apple Home app with a HomeKit hub, or you can create the code in the Schlage app. Now, the biggest feature with this smart lock, and the reason why I would recommend anybody to buy the smart lock, is for a feature called HomeKey. Now, if you're not familiar with what HomeKey is, it essentially allows you to use your iPhone or Apple Watch to unlock your door just by tapping your device on the smart lock. This uses NFC or near field communication, which is the same technology that's used in Apple Pay. So the same way that you can pay for your groceries is the same way that you can unlock your door. You will need either an iPhone SE 2nd gen or later, the iPhone XR or later, and an Apple Watch Series 4 or later for HomeKey to work. A digital key card appears in the Apple Wallet app, which is the same place that you store your credit cards, your loyalty cards, and any other cards that you use with Apple Pay. Now, anybody that you give access to your HomeKit home will automatically receive this digital card in the Wallet app. This digital key card shows you the name of your HomeKit home, so if you have multiple homes or multiple door locks, then it will show the names here. And the color of the digital card in the Wallet app is color matched to the color of your door lock. So since I have the bronze color, it's a black card, but if you have the silver or satin nickel color, then the card will be a silver color. And there's this really cool parallax effect in the Wallet app that shines a light as you move around your phone. Man, this is so cool. There's a couple ways that you can unlock your door with HomeKey. You can choose to require Face ID or a passcode. So whenever you double press the side button on your phone to bring up the Wallet app, just like you would with Apple Pay, then choose the home card, then tap and hold your phone to the lock and authenticate with either Face ID or a passcode to unlock your locker door. You will have to do this each time that you want to unlock your door with your phone. However, my favorite way to unlock the door is using what's called Express Mode. You can just hold your iPhone or Apple Watch near the lock without having to press any buttons on the phone or the watch, and it will automatically unlock your door without requiring Face ID or a passcode. Now, this option is less secure, so in theory, if somebody were to steal your phone, they'd be able to easily get inside your house, so that's just something to keep in mind. But I will say that using Express Mode is an excellent and very convenient way to unlock or lock your door, especially if, say, you're carrying a bunch of groceries and you don't have a free hand to get out your phone. You can just place your Apple Watch up to the door and the door can unlock for you, and it's super fast as well. You can still use the touchscreen keypad if you like, whichever is more convenient for you at the time. So maybe you want to use the watch to unlock the door, but the keypad to lock the door. Then you can certainly do that as well. Express Mode on this smart lock really makes this smart lock worth the price. If you don't have an Apple Watch, I would still highly recommend getting a HomeKey compatible smart lock, since you can unlock the door with your phone without having to unlock your phone or type in an access code on the touchscreen. And not only can you receive an alert when the door is unlocked, but if somebody uses their phone or Apple Watch to unlock the door, then you will receive an alert with the person's name of who unlocked or locked the door using HomeKey. And these alerts appear on the Apple TV as well, so you're able to be notified of who actually unlocked the door. Home keys cannot be shared from the Apple Wallet app, only from the Apple Home app. Keep in mind that not all HomeKit compatible smart locks support Apple's HomeKey. A smart lock can still work with HomeKit, but not support HomeKey. Now, as great as this lock is for HomeKit, there's a couple of strange issues with using the Schlage app and the Home app that will affect how you use the smart lock if you want to use access codes. this. If you create a code in the Apple Home app, then it will show the code from the Apple Home app in the Schlage app, but not the name associated with the code from the Apple Home app. So like here it shows a code that I set up in the Apple Home app for a person called Bob, but in the Schlage app, it has these weird numbers and does not say the name that is associated with this access code. Now, I presume this is some kind of issue with Apple and privacy reasons, but I'm not entirely sure. The scheduled timed access feature is not exposed in the Apple Home app. So if you want to create temporary codes, then you have to use the Schlage app, which is a bummer that you cannot do everything in the Apple Home app. And if you think that's bad, things do get a little worse. Now, if you create a code in the Apple Home app and then you decide that you want to change the code to recurring or temporary, then you have to delete the code altogether from the Apple Home app and then recreate the code in the Schlage app, because timed access codes is not a feature available in the Apple Home app. And whenever you create a code in the Apple Home app, you're not able to adjust any of the code settings in the Schlage app. If you create a code in the Schlage app, then the code will sync to the Home app, but not the name from the Schlage app. The Home app just says unknown guest, so you have to give a name to the code in the Apple Home app. Also, if you create a code in the Schlage app and it's enabled, but you disable the code in the Apple Home app, then the Home app settings will override the Schlage app settings, so the code will not work. So if your code is set to recurring and you're trying to unlock the door within the time frame, but it's disabled in the Apple Home app, then the code will not work. And speaking of not working, occasionally I've had issues where I can't update the access codes in the Home app. It won't let me change the code or toggle the code on or off. It's not often that this happens, and only seems to really happen when I first create the code in the Schlage app and then I want to make some adjustments in the Apple Home app. Now, when it comes to battery life, the Schlage Encode Plus smart lock seems to have great battery life so far. I've only been using this smart lock for a couple of weeks now, and after testing out unlocking and locking via the touchscreen a couple of times, using my Apple Watch and the Home app to see if the Apple Watch impacts the battery life more than using the Apple Home app, but this does not seem to be the case so far. I'm at about 94% after about 2 weeks of usage, so that means that it should last about a year on one set of batteries with normal usage. Though it could possibly last longer since it connects over Thread and not Wi-Fi, and Thread is designed for longer battery life, so only time will tell. I will be making a 6-month update video on how the battery life is and if anything changes with this lock. So if you would like to see that video, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out whenever it drops. There's not many HomeKit compatible smart locks on the market today that support HomeKey, so your options for a HomeKey compatible smart lock is limited. Aqara makes one if you don't live in the US, but if you do live in the United States, then your options are really Schlage Encode Plus or one by Level Lock. Level Lock recently released a HomeKey compatible lock, and it has a much more minimalist approach to a smart lock that I really like. And one of the biggest differences is the Level Lock only includes a physical keyhole and does not include a keypad touchscreen in one unit. They do sell an external piece, but that's an additional cost. So if you need a keypad or would like timed access codes, then the Schlage Encode Plus is going to be the better option for you. I've personally not used the Level Lock, so I cannot say how they compare in day-to-day usage. So is the Schlage Encode Plus smart lock worth the hype? I would say yes, for sure. I think the Schlage Encode Plus is the best HomeKit and HomeKey compatible smart lock available on the market today. It really has all of the features that you may want or may need in a smart lock. You have Thread, so it'll be very fast to unlock or lock, very reliable with long battery life, a touchscreen keypad with timed access codes for guests, and a physical keyhole as a backup. So if you're in the market for a HomeKit compatible smart lock, I would highly recommend getting one with support for HomeKey for the ease of use. Either the Schlage Encode Plus if you want a built-in touchscreen keypad, or a Level Lock if you don't need the key codes and just want to unlock the door with your phone or watch. What do you think about the Schlage Encode Plus? Let me know down in the comment section down below, and I'll see y'all in the next video.